transitional justice is like an alternative system of justice applied to countries that are trying to eliminate or to finish a conflict. It is tend to use in countries that have internal conflict, not that much in international conflict, because it has normally two parts of the conflict establish some kind of methods to reparate or to apply some punishment.
I feel so small, vulnerable.
Rutas del Conflicto is an independent journalism project here in Colombia. Our most important objective is to try and search new ways to narrate the contemporary conflict of our country. Most of all, trying to give voice to these people who lived the conflict and were never heard, and their histories were never published. So that's what we try to do. We work a lot with data journalism, which means we work with a lot of databases, and we try to, through numbers, show how big the conflict was in every part of our country. That means, for example, we have a lot of interactive maps on our website where you can understand only through watching how big was the conflict, how was the participation of most of the different armed groups we had here. And also we had this other part of the project which is called Yo Sobreviví, which means I survived, and it's this part of our website where we put all the testimonies of the people who lived the conflict, and also their stories of survival, because we don't want to only to narrate the sadness and the pain that conflict brought to the people, but also how the people reacted to this conflict. And we think it's very important to know that there's a lot of victims in this country that have survived and that have resisted, and that nowadays they have cultivated their families and their communities against violence, most of all. What's most interesting about the contemporary conflict we have here in our country is that the official version of it was told by the victimaries, by those who committed the crimes. We had this peace agreement, peace process, which was called Justicia y Paz, and in that process the members of the paramilitary groups, they gave their testimonies and said what was happened, and that was taken as the official version of the conflict. For us it's important to make journalism about conflict and about historic memory, most of all to bring these other histories about the conflict and to contrast these histories with the ones that were officially told and officially accepted by the public opinion in general. People have reacted to a lot of ways to our project, but most of them have found a lot of value in what we do. We fortunately have been used as a data fund to justice processes in a lot of legal situations. Also, there have been victims who have used our data registries to, for example, claim for some of their rights they have as victims of the conflict. And in general, there's a lot of academics and politics, I don't know if politics, but most of all academics that have appreciated a lot of what we do, and even ask a lot more in terms of data and in terms of visualizations, so that we can and they can help to make the conflict a lot more easy to understand to the people that are not mostly related to it.
The implementation of some kind of point has been so difficult if we take into account that we live in a society that is not prepared at all to accept some kind of things, like living around people that were in some kind of ways perpetrators of some crimes. I think that we are not ready at all I don't know how to say it specifically, but we are used to discriminate some kind of people. I think that that's the most difficult thing that we have to face, but not the only one. We have to be some kind of sincere about the problem around the land, and how some kind of politics are not that don't agree with some kind of specific points that try to distribute the lands in a more justice way. We are not used to think that the people that work on the land.
That's just me on the TV. What I gotta do to get it through to
In the past transitional justice that we already had, the reparation of the victims was none. So I think that that is not a right of the president or the government. That must be an imperative thing that any kind of government has to check, that has to apply, because we cannot think about a transitional justice if there is no kind or any kind of reparation to the victims.
then I be without a woman. Ain't nothing standing in my way. So is the fact that I adore you.